Jim Graham and Dave Sadler here for Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks. On the line, we have a special guest joining us. He was recently representing Team Canada on TUF Nations Canada versus Australia. He is Sheldon Westcott. And Sheldon, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
So, Sheldon, how has 2014 treated you so far?
2014, not great, but 2013 was one of the best years of my life professionally. All of our fights happened in the house before the turning of the year. So far, I've only had one fight this year, but I still got a couple more months to have a couple more fights and turn this year around.
Now, in your last fight for the contract to get into the UFC for the TUF Nations in the middleweight division, Joe Rogan and I believe it was Mike Goldberg on the call, they attributed your performance to an adrenaline dump, and I was wondering, is that what happened?
It's a combination of things. I honestly, there's those days in practice where you have like the worst practice of your life, and for some reason, everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. That was that fight. That was the worst performance I've had in the gym, in fighting, in any way, shape, or form. It happened one night on the biggest stage. Simple mistakes that I never, ever make, I made all in one fight. And I don't know, I need to keep watching the fight and kind of figure out what exactly went wrong. But you know what, it was a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of just stupid mistakes. In all honesty, is me. It was my fault I lost that fight. I put in the hard work. My training partners put in the rounds to get me ready, and I just had a really bad night.
Was there anything you were able to take away looking back and watching it?
Yeah, looking back and watching it, I would have rushed so much. When I had his back, I was on his back for about a minute straight, and in all honesty, wasting absolutely no energy, just working for a rear naked choke. And he tried to peel off one of my legs, and I'm like, oh, I should just go for the armbar and try and finish this fight right now, which is my style. But in all honesty, I could have hung out on his back for the next 3-4 minutes, because there's no way the ref's going to stop it while I'm sitting there with back control, and just kind of milked out the round. But in all honesty, for me, that's my fighting style. Like, I'm going to try and finish the fight any way, shape, or form. I just made some really stupid mistakes when it came to it. Even letting him in the position to stand up while I had his back was definitely a mistake on my part as well.
Now, of course, like you said, that fight didn't go your way, but do you have any knowledge if your next fight will still be in the UFC? Yeah, I talked to my manager, and my next fight will be in the UFC. I'm moving down to my natural weight division. I moved out for the show just because I didn't know there was going to be a fight to get in the house. And honestly, I would have fought at any weight division to get my shot at the UFC. I've been in the sport for 7 years, and I was always one fight away. And when they announced the casting for this show, I went to 85. I'm normally a 170. I've even fought once at 165. So I'll be going back down to welterweight. So for welterweight, about how much weight do you normally cut?
In all honesty, I'm a decent sized welterweight. I haven't had to cut weight for my last 3 fights. Any of the fights that are in the house and the finale fight. So I'm walking around right before fight time about 185 pounds. So it'd only be about a 15-pound cut.
Hey, Sheldon, you said that you're a medium-sized welterweight. Is 55 even remotely a possibility for you, or no?
It would take me, in all honesty, right now, the size I am, no. But I think it'll give me 18 months, give me about a year and a half, getting my diet down properly. I have to trim a little bit of muscle, but I think I could. In all honesty, I really do think I could make 55.
Myself and Jim, we're real good friends with Brian Ebersol, and he fights at 170. He's fought all the way up to heavyweight, and he's talked to us a lot of times that if he trims down, he could easily make 55. And it's like, when I see guys his size and your size, man, if you guys just, cleaned up your diet, which obviously is easier said than done, you guys could be some enormous 55ers.
Well, the funny thing is, you talk about Ebersol. I have my pro boxing fight is at heavyweight. And I took it on short notice. I don't care like, until there's a massive strength disadvantage, I didn't really care what weight I fought at. I just wanted to get fights. And to get on the show, I didn't care. 85, 205, I'd fight at heavyweight if I made the show on it. And cleaning up that diet, it's somebody really need to look into for me, because at 55, I would be enormous. And the strength advantage I'd have over 55ers, considering I do pretty well strength-wise with 85ers, I think if it carried over, you always get, sometimes there's that sweet spot where you can make it, but you're not optimal. You remember when Kenny moved down way far down, kind of lost all of his zip when Florian moved all the way down? Certain guys that happens to, that's why I want to take about a year and a half to do it. So when I do, I don't lose any of my strength or explosiveness, because that's a big part of my game, and I'm a super athletic guy. So I want to still be extremely athletic at 55. But if I just clean my diet up and make a really good go at 55, I think it'd be scary. At 170, I'm a pretty powerful dude. At 55, I think I'd enjoy a lot of the benefits of being the bigger guy.
Jim Graham and Dave Sadler talking with Sheldon Westcott. You can follow him on Twitter. It's just his name, at Sheldon Westcott. And Sheldon, like you said, you're probably going to drop down to 170 for your next fight. Is it also a thing where if you have a couple fights at 170 and you're successful, let's say you win out and win your next 4 fights at 170, does that kind of dictate maybe I should move to 155 because I'm so successful here at 170?
Yeah, you know what? Wherever the UFC wants me to fight, that's the weight division I'm going to have to fight in. You're not at that point anymore like it was 5-6 years ago where, you know what, you kind of had a little bit of say, like, oh, I want to fight 85. No, if they want me to move down to 70, that's what it was. It was, I wasn't going to be fighting at 85 unless they need a guy at 85. They need a guy at 85 and I'm fighting at 55, I'll fight at 85. But for me to be one of the top guys in the world, I have to be at 170 pounds or less. It's just, I'm not 6'2", I don't have that length, and the other thing too is I'm not a 215, 220 pound guy. I can get there. It's not good, but I can get that heavy, but it's super detrimental to my actual fighting style.
Sheldon, let's talk a little bit about your time on The Ultimate Fighter. We've all seen it on TV and all that kind of stuff, but was there anything about the whole experience that was easier than you thought or harder than you thought? Tell us a little bit about The Ultimate Fighter.
It was harder than I thought for, like, just being away for that long. You kind of, like, just really lose sense of anything because we had no contact with the outside world. We couldn't even listen to the radio from the drive from the house to the gym, which was a 30-minute drive that we did 4 times a day. So 2 hours a day we were sitting in the vehicle just staring at the road. So that part of it was a little bit harder. And also living with 16 guys when you're, like, trying to sleep because there's 5 people in our room. So it was weird and not something I'd want to do again. But at the same time, too, it's almost like it didn't really happen because when you're going through it, it's almost surreal that, like, you couldn't believe that you're on The Ultimate Fighter. Then finally when it starts showing, you're like, oh, you get to watch it, you're really excited, but you already lived it. So I lived it twice, but it doesn't really feel like I lived it once. It's very hard to explain. It's a lot harder than people think. I was one of those guys that are like, oh, it's going to be easy. I'm going to go in there. It's 6 weeks of my life. No big deal. It turned out to be 49 days. And by that 49th day, you were so happy to get your phone, talk to your family. And it's a weird situation.
The only thing I think that people that haven't been on The Ultimate Fighter that you could liken it to anything would be military boot camp. I was in the Marine Corps and I was gone for 13 weeks, and it's like you can make a 5-minute phone call to your parents saying, hey, I made it to boot camp. I'll see you in 3 months. And, like, that's the extent of your phone call unless you're injured or something. At least you guys got to have a little bit of fun. You guys had that thing with the Xbox where you got to drive the car, and, there were some things you could do, but the only thing that normal humans can relate would be military boot camp.
Yeah, absolutely. That is 100%. Like, you know what? It wasn't hard to be in the house. It's just you're disconnected, and the only other thing too is fighting already is super stressful. And you got to be ready to fight, and to be able to have to sit down, talk to, eat breakfast with the guy you're going to fight, especially with so much on the line, and know that the world's going to see the fight, that was the one part of the situation that separates it from just being away. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've gone away for four or 5 weeks and not talked to anybody, and it wasn't really a big deal. But the reason, like, knowing I was going to fight, knowing I wasn't talking to anybody, I don't have any of the comforts from back home, was the weird part. The easy part was, in all honesty, they provide us with everything we possibly need. The food, the aftercare, like going to physio and that kind of stuff. They provide us with awesome coaches. I think Patrick Cote is probably one of the best coaches in Ultimate Fighter history. I followed the show a lot, and the way he prepared us and the way he prepared us mentally for fights and scouted our opponents, I think he did one of the best jobs in Ultimate Fighter history as a coach. The only one who I'd say would be as close would be Season 3 with Tito. Tito did an amazing job, but Tito was going against Ken Shamrock, so it's not hard to look great if you're coaching opponent Ken Shamrock.
No, it's not. Speaking of looking great, you said that you watched the episodes. What did you think of how the season was, like, edited? Is it close to how you remember living it?
Yeah, absolutely. There were some things that edited out to being a bigger deal than it was, but as a whole, it was exactly as it really was. It's just some things they missed. Like, for us, the biggest fight was Nordine versus Tyler. People were losing it at that fight because they called each other out in the house, which I don't know if maybe they didn't get it on camera or they didn't get a great angle of it, but that's why we were so fired up. Cause I was like, yeah, let's go. I'll fight you. And that was the reason why all of Team Canada and Team Australia were absolutely losing it at that fight, because they wanted to fight each other in the house. But as a whole, you know what, it's pretty bang on. Like, in all honesty, if you're a dickhead, there's cameras on you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People are going to know if you're a dick. You can't fake it for that long. You can't fake it every day, all day. So whatever people said, like, there's certain things that I said that, you know what, I kind of looked bad, but it came out of my mouth. So how can they edited it. No, I said that. I said that I was most likely going to kill Ben Kelly in the morning. Yeah, I kind of looked like a dickhead when I did it. I'd fight the night before or the next day.
Right. So let's get to the good stuff about the Ultimate Fighter. Was there anybody in the house that you could not stand, that you just couldn't wait to get away from?
Oh, man, 16 dudes in the house, of course it was. In all honesty, like, I liked everybody to a point. There's certain people that I actually didn't mind being around. Then, like, there's certain people that you're like, just shut up already. Just stop talking. Just sit down, be quiet. And there's some guys from Australia that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, me and Chris Indich were never really going to be friends. I didn't really get along with him that much. He's a nice enough guy. There's nothing really against him. I just annoyed out of me. Elias was pretty annoying. Not annoying. Elias just talked and talked and talked and talked, no matter what was going on, especially if there's cameras around. He's jumping in front of the camera to be on it at all times, and that's just not really my style. Grujik was cool as shit. That dude is the coolest guy on the entire show.
Yeah.
And the crappy thing is, I ended up being like best friends with that guy on the show. We ended up having to fight each other, but we wanted to fight each other, so we knew it would be an exciting fight. He's pretty cool. Nordine Taleb's a cool dude. Me and him are going to go train together. Cajun's a pretty cool guy. Chad Laprise is cool. There's very few guys on the show that I dislike. Dan Kelly is a cool guy after he fought. Before, he was just a complete prick. Other than that, like, everyone's all right, but there's some guys that just, you know what, me and their personalities didn't get along at all.
That's good, especially if you go down to 170, because some of those guys you named are at the welterweight division. So that'll work out well for you. You got a whole list of guys you can fight.
Oh, man. Chris Indich, if I fought him at 170, it'd be a massacre.
Yeah. Okay, so when the show got down to the final four guys, were you surprised that everybody was from Canada?
Do you know what? In all honesty, I wasn't at all, because I knew how talented the depth of both weight divisions were. Do you know what? In all honesty, I thought it was going to be Elias, me, Nordine, and then Vic in the semifinals for the semifinal matchups. And I wasn't surprised. The only one that I thought might have went different, I thought Jake Matthews, if they would have matched it up differently, should have been in the semis. But in all honesty, the guys from Team Canada were absolute studs. But it just kind of shows how
just a little bit behind Australia is when it comes to like MMA IQ and just the time that MMA has been really popular. But I thought, in all honesty, in practice, like, I don't know if you guys, on the last episode, I was warming up for my fight against Vic, and I started hitting my Von Flue choke, which I didn't do at all during the entire time I was there. I didn't use any of my A-game stuff because I thought I was going to have to fight one of these guys in the semis, let alone in the finale. So I didn't want to use any of my good stuff in practice and that they have 6 weeks to work on the defense too. So honestly, I tried to put my cards close to my chest because I didn't want to show any of my good stuff to the guys who I thought I'd be fighting anyway.
Now, after the show, Sheldon, it came out that Tyler Manowar from Team Australia had some racist photos on his Instagram account, and even though it was taken years ago, the UFC took it upon themselves to kind of distance himself from Tyler and banned him from the UFC, not giving him a shot at fighting on the finale. It doesn't look like anything can happen, but at least it doesn't look like anytime soon he'll be getting a contract with the organization. And like you said, you spent 6 weeks in the house with this guy, and was he a guy that maybe kind of annoyed you a little bit, and did this shock you at all when you heard the news come out about the racist photos on his Instagram account?
You know what? It shocked me when I found out it was super poor taste. You know what? Yeah, it happened when he was 17. He's an awesome fighter. In all honesty, in the house, besides a couple of times when he had a few too many drinks and he's really loud, super quiet kid. You know what? He spent, 49 days in a house with two members of Team Canada, Matt Durocher and Cajun are both, honestly, are black. And you know what? I think those are the people that he probably, at the start, probably talked the most to. I don't think he meant anything. People got hurt by it, and that's his problem. Tyler needs to just kind of sort himself out. He's still a 19-year-old kid and just kind of fix what's going on. He was actually a pretty nice kid. He actually was super quiet in the house. Like, when you watch him and Nordine square off and he's getting right in his face and kind of bouncing back and forth, in the house, before our fights were announced, he didn't really look at anybody in the eye. He's a really timid kind of guy. I don't know, maybe I just didn't get a good read on him, but I didn't spend a whole bunch of time. But everyone on his team said he was a really nice kid. I just didn't really know him that well.
Now, looking at some of the other fights that happened at the TUF Nations finale, of course, in the welterweight division, you had Chad take on Olivier, with Chad eventually winning, and I was just wondering what you thought about that fight.
I only got to watch the first 2 rounds, but it looked like Olivier gassed a little bit. But at the same time, too, Chad is a game day guy. He's had bigger fights than Olivier, and Chad is a freak, man. Chad is, I said this to everybody, he was the hardest working guy on that show. He's one of those guys that I like to be one of the hard working guys, and I was done getting changed, and all of a sudden I'd go look, and he's doing a couple extra rounds, just even doing some strength conditioning stuff, doing some sprint stuff. His will to win is unbelievable, and he's unbelievably talented, and he's really real with his skill set and what he's good at, and he sticks to his game plan, and he does not go away from that game plan. He can be one of the best guys in the sport if he keeps on the right path. If he gets, you know what, with the right fights, that guy could be a legit top 15 guy in the world inside of a couple of years. I think right now, he's ranked something like 40th or 50th. He can move up. There's a lot of winnable fights for Chad Laprise in the UFC right now. I just hope he doesn't get thrown to the wolves too bad and kind of stops his progression in the sport.
Sheldon, I gotta say, after watching the show and the finale and everything, and then after talking to you for the short time, we've only been talking for 20 minutes, you seem to be one of the most well-versed guys in multiple weight classes. I guess what I'm trying to say here is you seem to know what's going on at 85, at 70, with guys at the very high level of the UFC and at the lower end of the UFC. And it seems like I'm paraphrasing here, but you're kind of like me and Jim, where you sit down and you kind of you know a little bit about everybody in the divisions that you're fighting. Is that fair for me to say?
Not only those two divisions, you go up 3 divisions, down 2 divisions. Man, I love MMA. I'm a student of the game. I follow all the guys because there's guys in my gym who are fighting other guys, low level, who are fighting. When we were doing warm ups, and I was talking to Sean O'Connell, and he's with Jeremy Horn, and we started just BSing with some of the guys from Utah because they had that UCE. Remember that? It was fights long ago, and they fought every week. And
right.
Honestly, I follow the sport so closely that I'm watching the guys in the UFC. I'm watching the guys in my weight division, and then I watch the top end guys too. I love the sport, and there's certain guys who I can't believe it that fight, and they're like, "Oh, do you know this guy?" No, I don't even know who any of these guys are. You're like, but they're in your division. These are guys that you could be fighting. These are some of the best guys in the world. And they're like, "Oh no, I don't watch fights. I just fight." You're like, "What?" It doesn't make sense to me. I'm a huge fighter, man. I love fighting, and I love watching MMA from every single level of MMA, from the UFC down to like fighting in barns and cornering my guys for some like lower level fights, and I love it.
Now let's look at the fight from Tough Nations between the two coaches on the show. Of course, your coach Patrick Cote and Kyle Noak from Team Australia. And what did you think of that scrap?
You want me to be real? Okay. When I got casted for the show, and they're like, "Oh, Cote and Noak are the coaches. They're gonna fight at the end." I thought Patrick Cote was gonna get messed up. I thought, like, man, Kyle Noak was going to kill him. Then I got on the show and I started training with Patrick. By the time I left the Ultimate Fighter, there was no way in hell there's no way that Patrick Cote loses that fight in any aspect of fighting. He's so much better than people think and than people know. It is crazy. Patrick Cote is a very legit, not yet contender, but the guy has a great chin. He has good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling, and the coaches that he surrounds himself with are fantastic. Like, I couldn't believe it. And then afterwards, when they said that Patrick won, I was not surprised at all. Noak is a badass dude, don't get me wrong, but Patrick's on another level.
Like I said, Jim, this guy here, Sheldon, Jim, we may have to fire you and bring Sheldon on this.
Whoa. Let's not jump to conclusions here. All right, well, before we get you out of here, Sheldon, there is a big card up there where you're at there in Canada. The MFC will be holding their 40th event over in Edmonton. 2 title fights will be going down. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on MFC 40, or if you're going to watch it, or if even you're going to be there.
My thoughts on MFC 40 are Victor Valimaki is a guy who's been in the sport for a long time, fought in the UFC. He's back. And I'm not even kidding. I've been around Victor for about 7 years from when I almost first started training, and I've never seen this guy in the shape that he's in right now. It's better than I've ever seen him, and it's scary. I tweeted about it the other day. He's 220 pounds, has abs again, like, not even saying that is he's doing round after round after round. Bill Wilder's going to get hurt. Bad. Like, I was sitting there being like, hey, MFC fights, you can bet on those, right? Like, that is going to be a show. I don't see Bill Wilder getting on the first round against Vic. I have another guy fighting on that card, Corey Gower. He's a 135 pounder who is as strong as a 185 pounder. He's super athletic and the kid can crack, and I don't see, he's going to stop this guy to the body probably. Or, you know what, he's going to hurt him. The other fights on the card, Tom Galecchio, I think he got lucky. I got Kurt Southern beating him, and I think he'll TKO him or finish him this time. And the other one didn't title fight the guy pulled out, and it's like a number 1 contender fight now.
Yeah, that's the Anthony Burchak was supposed to be fighting. Yeah,
I think that McGroom guy actually heard is pretty good. I can't remember where he got it, but I've heard nothing but really good things about him. But I got Southern, Valimaki, Gower are going to be running through those guys. Trying to think about the other fights on the card. I got Alvey against Slifford. I think they're going to have to bring in someone fairly high end to beat Sam Alvey. He's well-rounded southpaw who's long and really awkward. He has a good chin on him. So, I got Alvey in that fight as well.
Hey, Sheldon, before we get you out of here, Sam Alvey was on The Ultimate Fighter, and he's done nothing but good things since he's been on there. Is he 1 or 2 away from going back to the UFC?
He should be. I think if he didn't drop that fight against his first title fight, if he didn't drop that fight, I think he would have already been back in the UFC. I know that Mark probably has him down to a pretty tight contract, but Alvey's one of those guys that should be there. I think that Alvey's only mistake was when he went to the Ultimate Fighter, he tried out for 170. He just can't possibly. He can make the weight once, but having to make weight again, being like the second fight, there's no way. There's no way he wasn't at like 30% after having to cut that hard twice, because he's a pretty big guy.
Right.
I think Sam Alvey at 185, he deserves to be in the UFC.
Once again, he is Sheldon Westcott. You can follow him on Twitter, just his name, at Sheldon Westcott. And thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And I think I could speak for Dave here. We definitely will want to have you on the show again once you sign your next fight with the UFC here.
Sounds good to me, man. Just give me a call whenever you guys want to have me on.
Once again, that was Sheldon Westcott right here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks.